Hello and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name is Colin Chadwick.
And I'm Daniel Patton.
And on today's podcast, I'll be speaking with Chelsea Lagan about Doctor Who Remembrance 1 and some of her other roles.
And I'll be talking, well, I won't be, you'll be talking with Lewis Wheelhouse on Doctor Who Remembrance 1.
Indeed. So, Daniel, how have you been?
I have been well, busy, mainly, preparing for certain things that are going on with Fractured Timeline. Hush, hush, wink, wink.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, we're getting things ready to hopefully start filming again soon.
Oh, right, that's good.
Because the only thing that's holding us back now is that we cannot find a location for a certain scene, and that certain scene is very, very big, and it's just so that's the only thing holding us back now. We've the pandemic's not stopping us now. It's just trying to find someone who's gracious enough to let us film there and has endless sign insurance for safety reasons, but so far we've had no luck.
Insurance.
Yeah, because we've had a location. We've had two locations who've backed out on us. The first location, which is the location we actually filmed before.
Oh, you mean the insurance that they will definitely be ready?
Yeah.
I thought you meant as an insurance because you're doing some high level scenes or something that require.
Oh no! Also insurance for the property. We also need to sign insurance that we won't damage anything.
Oh right, yeah, of course.
And it's we have two locations that backed out. Well, one sort of backed out, but sort of didn't. The first one, they're going through some major renovations and major construction. We've asked them, is there any chance you could let us film like at nights or something like that? And they said no, because if we let you film there, that could ruin us, and like if you get injured, that's on us. And another location, which is also in construction, but it's a friend's family's location, and they originally said yes, go for it, but then they talked to like people who are doing the construction. They're like, yeah, we can't authorize this, so we have to wait till that construction is finished before we can go, but that won't be till next year.
Oh wow! So you have to find something. Yeah, essentially, that's why you have to find something else now. It's basically because nothing's free immediately.
Yeah, or else we got to push the series back again till next year. Yeah, which I don't think anyone wants.
No.
Yeah. But how about you, sir? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm still kind of like, this is, I know I've spoken to you a lot about it off the podcast, but I'm still finding myself with writer's block here and now. I was able to complete a lot of the 2021 releases, but the 2022 release is just slipping a bit. I've cut down on the amount of projects I'm doing. From now on, if anyone wants to add anything, it has to be within reason and have a reasonable release. Like for example, when we've done, for example, the Sherlock Holmes volumes, whilst that was planned, it was originally going to be a set of 3 that were weekly, and then we brought it down to 1, and then we brought it back up to 3, but the schedules changed, so they all had to be in one day. So we spent ages on that volume, only for it all to come out within 3 hours.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So there was so much to do there. Whereas this, everything is sticking to a weekly format, but then also I'm having massive writer's block. I feel more like I want to be editing, but I can't do that without writing. So it creates a lot of problems at the moment. It's just taking its time. It will get there. I mean, we're still early-ish days. I know that I got very far ahead of myself and was, for example, there was an audio that was recorded in, it was the first episode of the Young Doctor Adventures, first ever episode. That was recorded in October 2018 and came out Christmas 2019. So I was really far ahead in some places. But then, of course, we're still in May. We've got time. We've already got, technically, there's 1 volume from 2022 that's finished. It's just taking a long time to record.
Yeah.
And if things, a lot of people have been saying on the DW 2012 Discord, they've been saying that I just need to have a rest.
I think it's just before. I think it's not more writer's block. It's more, I think, more of a fatigue, because you have been you write more than anyone else, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into your YouTube playlist, like for the Overton Audios writers. You've written over 100 audios, sir.
I'm not surprised. There's about 250
Yeah.
audios that have been made.
Yeah.
I would have definitely made over half of them.
Yeah, and you've definitely made over half, and you've at least contributed to the script editing of all of them.
Yeah.
So no wonder that you may be feeling a little bit tired. So we'll see. I hope you feel better soon, sir.
Yeah, it's just more the annoyance of myself. Like last weekend, I wanted to try and finish 2 scripts because the weekend before I finished 2 scripts. Now, last weekend, I only did something like 10 pages of a script. And then this weekend so far, I've written 5. So it's getting worse. I need to sit down, though, and actually properly get writing because I know how I want it to end. It's about writing it's about getting there,
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I feel the same recently. I just finished, like, revitalizing the episode, well, Dimension of Dalek script, and that it's the longest script I've ever written. Like, it's a whopping 67 pages.
Wow.
So I'm just a bit tired after that.
No, I can imagine.
Because so much went into the writing of that one, and now I've got other scripts I need to write, and now I think I'm feeling that same sort of fatigue or block that you're going through as well, but obviously not to such an extent that you've gone through.
Yeah. It's just been very, very shattering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is? I think I probably would have outright stopped by now if it wasn't for the support from the audience.
Yeah.
The viewers.
Everyone's very great, and definitely they make it worthwhile.
Yeah, 100%. And that also really helped when it came to when Crimson Hunter Volume 1 was coming out. So many people loved it. Because Chelsea messaged me and was talking about how happy she was about how many people loved it.
Yeah, I definitely had. Thing is, it was definitely one of the things I think we both enjoyed doing the most. It was a lot of fun to do, especially to expand.
I think it was also the magic of we'd never seen Devlin and Julia together, but then when we were editing it, and they were really complimenting one another, despite this. I mean, to this day, they still haven't met, and they were able to match each other's performances really well, despite not hearing one another's performances as well. And I think there was that kind of magic of just thinking, "Wow, we're really liking the way this has come out," and then following that, people's reactions have been very similar, which has been really, really nice.
Yeah. We got released that song. I don't think you put it in the last podcast with me.
I did.
Luke's conversation. Yeah, we got released that song separately.
I don't know if they want. I got a bit of a telling off from Chelsea.
Really? Oh,
she listened to the last podcast and it started playing, and she was just like, "What have you done?"
All right. Oh, sorry, Chelsea.
Anyway, speaking of Chelsea and the Crimson Hunter, shall we go over to the segment where I talk to her about those different roles?
Yeah, definitely. Let's hear that.
Overton Audios presents.
This Julia Breslin. You've been training her, right?
That's right, sir.
The cadets are calling her the Crimson Hunter. Did you know that? She's exactly the poster girl we need.
With all due respect, sir, Julia Breslin is not what you would call a poster girl.
Whoa, Warven! Is that any way to talk to an old friend? Well, I say friend.
No good old bofo!
This job they want you on, I don't want you to take any chances.
But I have to take this opportunity.
That right there is the human empire!
We all thought you were part of the human colony.
No, we are beneath them.
What's next?
The hell do you mean, what's next? This is your idea.
For fuck's sake! I thought you and your big mouth would have thought of something.
Get the best Vitruvian ale in the house!
Would you just shut up? I need water, please!
she will be a valuable asset to us. If she dies in the field, then this was nothing more than pure luck.
The Crimson Hunter, Volume 1, available from the 8th of May 2021 at 2 p.m.
So how have you been, Chelsea?
I've been good. I've been really good. Like, obviously, COVID has been a bitch, but yeah, I've been good.
You have no idea, like, how, because we started doing this podcast as a result of COVID. I've been wanting to do an Overton Audios podcast for ages, but every single segment ever since, whenever, because me and Dan host it, whenever we're talking to other people, we always ask how people are, etc., and it always comes back to COVID.
Yeah, well, COVID has like affected everybody, single person in so different ways. But I'm just finally now at the stage that it's getting, like we're getting back to some sort of normality.
Yeah, because for context for everyone listening, we actually met up yesterday for like the first time in like a year and a half.
I know, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was one of those things where because we met at King's Cross, I was just stood there realizing that this is going to be my first, other than going to work, which has been it's just a pattern anyway. This is going to be the first social, like any sort of social gathering where I'm not out here, not out in the world working for the first time. Well, since maybe January or February, and then March obviously is when everything started getting very worrying, and it was even before lockdown, we were all kind of like easing off, weren't we, a bit? And then the lockdown fully kicked in.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy because I remember you texting me and I was just like, don't you move a muscle. Just like, do not move where you're at. I will come find you. Yeah. And then when I actually seen you in person, I was like, oh my God. I was like, Connor's right in front of me.
Yeah, because we met up in January last year, went to Planet Hollywood. And then,
oh yes.
And then we didn't meet up again after that until yesterday. But like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, then because I was there, I was around with PMG because we were going to like a horror movie film festival, I think, that weekend.
Yeah.
And this was the Friday. I think it was a Friday. It was a Friday when I'd just come back from work or something. And then
I think it was Friday.
Yeah, because we met at the pub first, didn't we? The pub near is it Waterloo? Was it near Waterloo? Was it London Victoria? I can't remember. But we met at the pub nearby, and then we, after having a few drinks, walked over to Planet Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then we met
but that was a good night, though.
Yeah, and then we met up with Pete Adams and his partner.
Oh, they're lovely.
It was like a proper Overton Audios kind of meeting, wasn't it?
I think you were saying something about getting, when COVID and all finishes, like getting the whole, like maybe like Waterside cast together. Lad, if you had to get the Waterside cast together, you would have to like book out the whole entire venue with the amount of people that you've worked with.
About 50 people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At the same time, I'd invite everyone, because if I only select a few, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm grateful to everyone. I don't want to be using favoritism. I know you only came down for one scene, but like there are people who travelled down to film one scene from, like, obviously we're more London based. They travelled down from Nottingham, Manchester, just to film one scene. And then they'd be done in under an hour, and they'd leave. And that was it. Yeah,
but like it must have been, they must have enjoyed it or seen the potential in it. And Waterside, like for you, has become this big, massive thing. Yeah. It's been like how long have you been doing Waterside? It's quite a few years, isn't it?
Well, I wasn't. I became more like showrunner, executive producer, like in 2017. But when the original series, the first series, was being made in 2013, I was with my friend Alan. He he was making,
Yes.
and I was helping with post-production back in 2013. So for me, it's been about 7 years, realistically.
That's crazy.
There was like a 3-year gap in between, because Alan was in the second series, but then someone he cast got cancelled, and it was one of those things where it's like he couldn't see anyone else playing the character, so he just didn't want to make it anymore. But then it was after we'd made, I think it was just after Downloaded had been made, and
oh my god,
like actually shot, not necessarily released yet, but it was after that, and and then the Time Traveller, that I was trying, I made a few short films and then just kind of looked at it and went, if there's one, I want a project that will be long term. And like Alan came up with this 5-season plan from Waterside, and I just thought that would keep me busy, but I never initially foresaw there being, like, especially that financial element to it.
Just like whenever you mention like Downloaded and everything, or like up, downloaded, whatever one it is, the
up,
first
down,
one.
Left, right.
I can hardly get them right anymore. But I remember whenever the first one was shot, or like, you know, scenes or whatever, I remember distinctly getting on the bus back from Take back in Ireland. And I remember sitting on the bus beside Daniel, and this is when we first met, and he was telling me about Downloaded. And I was
so this is when he was just kind of pitching the idea.
I think it was either pitching the idea, or it might have been already shot then.
Because
I'm not quite sure, but I just remember being on the bus.
Yeah, I remember the first scene that was shot, and it was a scene, and I mean, I've never been there. I've never been to Ireland. I've been to Ireland once, but like that was now 10 years ago. But it was, I just know it was in a park in like around, and the surrounding it were busy roads, like a kind of park in the middle of like what looked like a roundabout. Be completely wrong. It's just the way it's been shot. They look like they were busy.
Is it in Derry?
I think so. There was a big red brick building behind you.
With a big clock on top of it?
I think so.
Oh, that's in front of Guildhall.
Oh. Well,
I think I know what you're talking about.
It was the first scene shot. It was shot in December 2016. I know that much.
Oof.
And I remember how I got introduced to. I didn't so much get introduced to you, more than I just got told about you. Chelsea would like a role in Downloaded, and so we cast you in the most possibly awkward role possible.
Yes.
Should I give context for that?
Yeah, if you want to, I don't mind.
So the context of the most awkward role was at the time the person you were dating was playing the main character. And then we were introducing a sibling character, and Dan just came forward saying, "Oh, Chelsea wants a role," and I didn't realise that you and were dating at the time. So I said, "Yeah, we'll do that." As soon as it all got cast, and you both mentioned, "Is that not a bit awkward?" And I Daniel then mentioned it to me, and I was like, "Well, you didn't tell me, Dan. You didn't tell me that was the case. Otherwise, we would have found something else."
But literally, I loved it. It was like I've been like, you know, in a few like short films, but they're usually like, you know, for like tech and like, you know, media students and everything. But this was like, I think this was like the first proper short film that I've been in, and it was literally so good experience. Like I was only starting tech then. Like I was a little bean. I was a little bean then, and then I first got introduced to you and everything.
Yeah, we didn't actually really chat properly. Like we were friends on Facebook, but we didn't really chat properly until I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this one line?"
I'll tell you this. Like I remember specifically standing like in, I think it was like, you messaged me about that, but I'm thinking more about Julia. Actually, I remember specifically whenever
this
you were.
This one line was technically the first appearance of Julia.
Yeah.
Because it was the Gathering, I think, series.
Oh, yes.
And it was just you saying, "Who are you?" and that's it. And that was all it was meant to be. It was just going to be a little cameo to say, "Oh, some adventures happened off screen." It wasn't meant to be what it is now. It was just meant to be a little thing. And then because I was making them so rarely, because that one was done in the summer of 2017, so that's when Downloaded, I think, had just finished filming. And then what followed was the next 4 years.
I know.
We ended up with Julia Breslin series. The rest of series 1, and then series 2 came along, in which we kind of tried to reinvent some bits and pieces because it was a very scattered series. Series 1 was. Everyone was just kind of hopping on and off the adventures. So we, rather than doing them every few months or so, we kind of just pushed it aside. Let's just do them all one after the other and actually have it be a series, because we were just making them one at a time whenever we wanted. It didn't really have a coherent story. And then we didn't really know. We never really ever explained who you were.
No.
Like you were just at the time someone who used to travel with one of the Doctor's companions, who's like a hybrid Time Lord, James. Played by Pete as well, before he took on the role of the young Doctor as well. So if that's not confusing continuity enough, I don't know what is. But that was a very weird time.
Yeah, like I remember whenever you first telling me about Julia, I was 2017 when Julia became a thing. So I was 18. I'm like 22 now. So about 4 years, nearly 4 years that I've had Julia in my life, and it's crazy. And because it was like,
as a result, we did Waterside as well.
I know.
Like
Julia was like my first. Like I've never done like audios before. Yeah, I've done like Foley and like some audio work and like ad-libbing and stuff. Yes, all that stuff. I've done that. But like a full-on audio series, I've never done that before. So like I would just be sitting there trying to get the house quiet and sitting there recording on my phone. But like, because I was so nervous, I was just like, I don't know who this character is. But like literally I've had Julia for nearly 4 years, and it's just crazy. I still find it crazy. And then Waterside came along.
I believe we're looking at Julie.
Yeah, but you're... Julius. Xander Langford's brother. He's missing, and to be honest, I just want answers.
What do you care for? We all know what your relationship with your brother is like.
Family's family, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. My brother, Darren, he was killed by King Industries.
Ah, that's Dookie to you.
Your Dookie's sister? Yeah. Stubborn to the end, that one. I am so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, that was because we were not, because we would have been working on just Resurrection with Julia as well, but like we did we not actually meet until the beginning of 2019? Do you remember when we met up at that pub? You were over in London anyway.
Oh, the Phoenix. Yes, right. Yeah. So it was like whenever I was with my class whenever I was still in secondary. I think it was like my final year. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in London, me not realizing how London is a massive place, because I'm from like the back end of nowhere. I never realized London was a massive place. And I was like, oh, I'd really like to meet you. Me and my wee nervous little self. And yeah, we met there. We met for the first time, had a drink and everything. And you had it in one of your, your monthly vlog videos.
Yeah.
My gosh.
And then,
the funniest thing. Oh yeah, Owen was there because I don't think my lecturers at the time, they're like, oh, we don't want this little 4'11" girl to be going around London on her own, so we'll just throw in Owen to keep her safe.
I remember. I don't think you ever told me what the general reaction was, but I remember that after because we went around the back of the pub to take photos
Mm-hmm.
for like trial of
Oh
verity.
my god.
So there was actually the one time that we had to cover art where you're like, I was looking shocked and you were like going, no, don't. And you were like, had your hand on my chest or something. That's the one time that any photo of us stood together has actually had any sort of physical interaction.
You do have to realize, like, if people were to look back at like the cover arts for like, you know, Julia and the Doctor and whatever, that the heights that I think that was the first time you realized my actual height compared to you. Yeah,
because I mean, I'm 6 foot, so a fair few people are usually shorter than me anyway. So when everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to be much shorter than you," I'm like, "That's relative." But then we said hello to one another. I was like, "Oh, hello." But then what I was going to mention was when we were saying goodbye, weren't your whole class watching us from the other, like down the road?
Yes, they came back, and my lecturer looked and was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because I never actually told him exactly what was doing. I was just like, "Oh, I wanted to meet up with somebody."
There's just me in a waistcoat, cravat, and long coat.
Yeah, and then Ollie as well, and he's sitting there like.
And then Dan as well. I'm the only one dressed out of place. Everyone else is dressed kind of casual, and then I'm just there dressed in Edwardian. and then we're all hugging goodbye, and I'm just remember looking up and seeing everyone just watching. I'm like, oh god, what the hell are they going to think? And I never knew what did they say to you, because I still don't know what they
I remember, well, they were getting back to the hotel because I think we were going to see a show that night or something.
Oh yeah.
And so I got back, and my lecturer and everybody met us in the hallway, and they're like, "Oh, what was that for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing like audios for that guy." And that was like the first time us meeting. And Michael, my lecturer, he made sure beforehand, he was like, "Right, before you meet these people, do like trust them and everything. How long have you known them?" Yeah. Like but he was lovely because I could understand his concern.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
But then I was just like, I'm an adult, I can do what I want. And I was just like, I know him.
Well, I mean, Dan met before, and
oh yeah.
So either way, and then you went with Owen anyway, so it was still 3 out of 5.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was good. It was good. It was really good to see you and everything.
Yeah.
And literally
it's only an hour and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, where did we meet? Oh, what was the place called?
Wasn't it?
Oh.
Didn't you say it earlier? Wasn't it called the Phoenix, did you say?
Oh yeah, the Phoenix Bar. I'm trying to think of what the actual name was. Queensway?
About a 10-minute walk away from Tottenham Court Road. It's much nicer.
Yeah, it was Queensway or something like that.
Probably, because we then walked. We then walked 10 minutes in another direction, and ended up in a pub near Tottenham Court Road. And then afterwards,
they love a good pub.
Because at that point, I was writing season 5, and I needed to find a character who was going to be the sister to Dan's character, another sister role to fill.
Yeah.
And obviously we were already working on audios together, and then I think I'd actually asked you the summer before, because I like to plan in advance. And then we sorted out going, it'll be next summer. Then we met in the new year. And then wasn't there there was a bit of worry that you wouldn't be able to come over at first? And
I think it was because of, like deadlines and stuff like that. It was like, with like my tech like work and everything, because I did study performing arts back then. It was just like, the worry of that, and then but it all got sorted in the end.
Flying away to go and do some acting. But I think it was just the same thing about how well do you know these people.
But
the point is that I wasn't like, come over and stay over at mine. I wasn't staying at mine during the whole weekend. I was staying over at another. And even though we offered, because it would have saved money, we still got the hotel.
Oh yeah.
And then that 3-day weekend happened, which was quite a lot of fun. I got a lot of bloopers.
Oh, I do love the bloopers. There's so many bloopers. Literally, it was like half of the times it was just like us taking the piss.
Do you know about how much trouble PMG got in for the slap?
What do you mean? The slap that I did?
The slap that, yeah, in that scene.
The most epic thing in my acting career?
Yeah, that PMG got in a bit of trouble.
What do you mean he got in trouble? Why?
Well, he's the first AD. So
right.
Basically, Amelie, who was there, she does stunts.
Oh, for God's, yes, I've heard. Yeah.
Usually you're meant to sort of put your hand across, but even Ollie was saying, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, he gave me right. I just want to establish that one, I was given permission to slap him. Okay, yeah. It looks hard. It looks like a really sore slap. I did not because I
will say this. Amelie actually reviewed the footage.
Yes.
And she said because she wanted to see it frame by frame for the impact, and of course we've looked at it before, and it's like a crater in Ollie's cheek for about a frame or two.
Oh, yeah.
And take this as a compliment, I suppose. She said that slap could have knocked him out. I was like,
oh, what an awkward situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
right. He gave me permission to slap him. He gave me permission to slap him, and I was like, okay, bam.
I just imagine what kind of scene would that have been if, then that scene he takes out the keyboard and says, "Oh, I've lost it," and you've probably seen some of those because I know I watch them from time to time. It's like the videos of people fighting and then someone getting knocked out. Like imagine Ollie doing that thing where both his arms drop first and then he just collapses with them.
Well, if they fully passed out.
Yeah. I just you just go, oh, I left the keyboard behind. You slap him and he just collapses, and then you're also like, that's not what you were meant to do.
See,
because you're meant to have such a shouted fight afterwards. Imagine if he just collapsed. And then you're just like,
see, I don't know what I would do. I would either continue on with the scene, but just say his lines if he's gonna
it's meant to
do that, and then afterwards I'll be like, okay, get up. Hello?
Well, I mean that's the thing is, I probably would have been the end of the shoot day.
Oh my gosh!
If he gets knocked out, typically the longer you're out, the more damage that can be done. So we'd have
imagine getting knocked out by a 4'11" little leprechaun.
Yeah, but you've got fierceness to you. You've got fierceness. You've got fierceness to you. You can instill fear if you need to.
Oh, I'd like to hope so.
and then we had that day, and then basically every day we just sort of went out and started drinking afterwards.
Yeah.
Remember that, wasn't it? There was some times when we were filming him, because those 3 days were over the last 3 days of waterside filming ever.
Yeah.
So the first day, what were we in the first day? First day we were around Tower Hill, so we went to a Wetherspoons near there. Then the second day we were up in Colchester, so we went to a Wetherspoons near there.
Yeah.
And then we wrapped filming in Woolwich Arsenal. And then we went to Wetherspoons there. There's a running theme.
Yeah, you know what, Spoons, you get a picture and you get a burger. That's the best thing, hey?
Yeah. I forgot how cheap it was, because again we went to Wetherspoons yesterday. We went to
yes. Oh, that was lovely.
Planet Hollywood was a bit posh though. I remember that burning a hole in my pocket.
Oh yeah, burnt a hole in my pocket too. But we'll not talk about that.
Yeah. I mean,
that's pre-COVID. We don't talk about that.
No, we don't. We do not talk about that time. The times before the event.
Yeah, they don't even exist.
No, just fond memories from years and years ago.
Oh.
Oh God! It always comes back to COVID. But yeah, but then what happened was Julia left.
Julia left.
Yeah, in series 3, the end of Trial of Veritas, she I remember
Oh my
showing
goodness.
you the cover art for series 4 because at the time I was recording season 4 whilst we were also simultaneously filming series 5 of Waterside. I showed you the cover art, and you almost burst into tears.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about it. Like, for me, that was like my first audio job, and like for me, I was just like, I felt a lot of comfort in Julia because I loved her feistiness, I loved her shyness, but the more she came out of her shell, and like literally, I just related to her so much, and she's just so spicy. I love it, and I've had her for nearly 4 years, and it was just crazy. And then once I knew about, the trial of Veritas, literally I got so emotional. I remember
I
think
remember
the Skype call.
I remember sending you the script, and then you sent me a photo of I think you just got out of the shower. You were there with the towel wrapped around your head, just in tears. I was just like,
you know what? I give you permission. I give you permission to insert photo.
Oh,
of me and my tears.
We don't do photos on the podcast. We only do audio clips, as you well know.
We can cut that bit out then. No. But literally, I remember.
I think we were both sending each other crying photos, weren't we? Because I was writing.
Yeah, there definitely is.
And I played the soundtrack that was going to play.
Oh.
And then we both cried to that. And then when it was recorded and then edited, I then played it back. And you sent me a video at like 3 a.m. It's going that's so heartbreaking, and you just burst into tears again, and the video just cuts off. And I didn't wake up until the next morning because I was waking up for work, and I just watched that going, oh my God, what have I done?
Doctor,
You don't need to say.
Why? What possible regrets could I have now? I was going to be with you. I was going to be with you forever.
I know.
And that's the way it's always been. The doctor and Miss Breslin.
Yeah.
Is this it?
I'm so sorry, Julia.
Look, if this is the last thing I'm going to say to you, I want to make it count. I really wanted to.
Yes, of course.
Doctor, through all the good, the bad, and the painful times, there's always been one constant with you. God, Doctor, I love you. I love you so much.
It just made me so upset because I was just like, it's just so upsetting. Because it's just like Julia, like she just confesses her just love for the doctor. And he just doesn't get there in time.
Yeah, because
but like literally,
we did it a little bit, didn't we? The previous serial before that, the Dalek Federation, he does something regarding. I think it was regarding Tyrone's War, wasn't it? In Ireland in the 1600s. That links into obviously because we've done with the Crimson Hunter, we established that she is from Belfast, but in the future. Yes. So the fact that he's helped in some shape or form in her kind of, not her personal past, but her sort of heritage, I think she, like, because it was really, I don't know, to me, I tried to sort of, I can't even figure out what the transition is, and I was writing it, which was in series 2, it was very much everyone was a family element. Like, because we had Julia, Roxy, and Henry, and then over the course of series 2, it all fell apart when Henry left because he didn't really feel like he had not a place with that family, but a place with that universe because he wasn't from it.
Yeah.
And then then he subsequently in the finale, when he does return, spoilers by the way, gets shot and died. And
my God.
And then that's a massive loss. And then Roxy leaves as well because Henry's died, and it just leaves the Doctor and Julia thinking, well, we just had a really, like, there's an episode in series 2 where I think it was Extinction of the Save Owners. Everyone goes out partying and they have a hangover, and the Doctor's the one who's helping them out of it, like a kind of like fatherly figure who's going, okay, here's a banana, here's some water, and all this sort of stuff. And you know, there's even a little sly mention to the fact that he raised a child once, which is obviously Dan's doctor with Nathan. And it was all very like a little family. Like he was the dad of these 3 kids in a way. Like, oh, he got all partying again. And then series 3, it's 2 of them are gone, and he's romantic with the other.
Yeah.
It was like a weird change.
Literally, it was just like Doctor and Julia. They had each other at the end of the day. And then Veritas was an asshole.
Yeah, there was a bumpy road in series 2 when the Doctor found out who she really was, like her part. I remember getting worried about that one but at the same time, I think it made a lot of sense then as to the reason why we didn't know a lot about her to begin with, was because she literally started afresh so it was more or less an alibi for why in series 1 she wasn't well developed. It was because she was hiding that side of herself and literally starting a completely clean slate. So therefore, we didn't know a lot about her. And whenever the episodes leading up to series 2, Roxy would ask Julia, "Oh, hey, what was like? You know, just generally, what was life like when you know, you were growing up?" And then you'd be not willing to talk about it.
Yeah, just very, you know, like, just try and change the conversation quickly.
Yeah, and then obviously
I always wondered that, and I'm like, what's Connor got up his sleeve?
I remember you asking me, going, why doesn't she want to talk about it? And I also said, I don't remember. I responded with episode 8 and a wink face, and you were like, oh no.
Oh no.
And then
I remember finding out, being like, oh, I remember calling you and being like, excuse me, sir. You're cheeky. Like, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
And it was a good twist as well, because we then, obviously, when we go in, like literally 2 episodes afterwards, she's getting guns out and shooting Daleks.
Yeah.
And
I was just like, yeah, she's badass.
Well, I think it was one of those things where I like to think we've done this, because I will say this, but we won't go into story elements. I have pretty much announced that there is a volume 2 of The Crimson Hunter.
Woohoo!
I'll say this for the premise of the story, which is just that it's shortly after the secret has been exposed to the Doctor. So it's still set in the past, because we have already seen her end. We just are going back. We're kind of doing what Marvel are doing with Black Widow, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Now that we've done the end game, we have to go back and fill in all the bits. But no, like the Doctor's found out, he's dropped her off, and I like to think that the reason why she's able to be more open, like within 2 episodes, is because she had that volume 2 storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after, how long was it before because I recorded them really far in advance. So even though we were filming series 5 of Waterside and I was showing you season 4, your final episode still didn't come out for another 4 or 5 months after that.
Yeah.
Because I was just a machine writing everything back to back.
No, I remember whenever you sent me, you know, the Trials of Veritas one. I remember I was living with my grandmother at the time, and I remember literally just, I think, getting in from tech or whatever, and you sending me these, and I was just like, oh, it's final episode, oh my god, wow, Trials of Veritas, woo. Me not figuring out what's going to happen. I sit there and read it. No, wait, I didn't sit there and read it, actually. I remember you video calling me with Dan, and we had a read through of it.
Did we?
On Skype.
Oh. I can't remember that.
Yeah. I remember I think it was me, you, and Dan on Skype. I remember us going through it.
I do vaguely remember Dan having to play, like, I remember doing a read through. Maybe that was it then. I can only remember vaguely Dan having to do a read-through with me for Resurrection at one point, so that might have been it.
Might have been.
Because usually,
but I remember just like
Mm.
it just hit me like a shock. It just hit me like a bunch of bricks. And I remember recording it, being like, "Oh no, I'll never be Julia again. I miss her so much." I do remember
that you put off the recording for a little while, didn't you? Because after
I did.
Because I think I know that after you'd read it, you did not want to record it.
Yeah, I didn't want it. I just was like, if I don't see it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I remember. I do know that you were the last one to record in the end, because it was got to a point where it was like everyone's been finished for 2 weeks. Come on.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay. No. But I remember, because I get it, because you didn't want it to end.
Yeah, I didn't. I really didn't. And I remember recording it. I remember the lines still, and I remember sitting like on the floor. I always do my audio recordings on the floor. I sit on the floor, just so like it's all stable and everything.
Oh, fair.
and I'm just like, Doctor, throughout the good, the bad, and everything, there's always been one constant with you. Doctor, I love you. And I remember breaking down. And then whenever you edit it and everything, and when it's like, Doctor, I love you so much, so much, so much, I was like, oh, Connor, you're killing me. Yeah, you're killing me.
I told you what that sound was as well, and I think that hurt you more. The reason why it goes out is just the erasure from existence.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, why would you do this? Like, you monster.
No, literally, it was so well written. So well written.
Oh, thank you.
And I was like, Connor, please don't kill Julia, really.
I think
I have so much to offer.
I think we already had plans for a Crimson Hunter around then. Like, because I remember do you remember Dan made that test cover art ages back? And then I found it the other day, and I was just like, wow, it changed quite a lot. But then, when did we? I might actually, because I've got a cast schedule of what lines need recording and what time they're done. Because I'm obsessive like that. Let me look. So, Crimson Hunter Volume 1 was recorded. All of it was recorded in September last year.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
Okay.
So that was actually a little while, because from what I remember, I don't think I still have it anymore. No, I don't have the cast schedule from season 3 anymore. But that recorded, I think it recorded late 2018 into early 2019. So that was nearly 2 years of not playing Julia before Crimson Hunter, really.
Because I hated it. I hated it. I was just like, oh, I just love Julia. I literally do. And like I've heard with everything going up on YouTube and everything.
Yeah.
There's such a positive response.
Yeah, a lot of people missed you, because I think, including that in terms of any releases, you cameoed in Transcendence, because there was this a reality circuit which the Doctor could use to rewrite reality, and he actually finds your soul, or whatever it was. It's never quite clear if it's a vision or not, but he finds your soul and says, hey, I can bring you back to life.
Oh yeah, and Julia's like, no.
Julia.
Doctor?
Julia. It's you. You're back.
Hi. Wait, what did you do?
I found something. A reality circuit.
But doesn't that break like 1,000 laws of time?
It breaks all of them, but it's like you said. We need each other.
But I died. Veritas.
And now you don't need to.
Doctor, I had my second chance.
What? You want to die?
Of course I don't. But what you're doing, it's just wrong. Look, I had my second chance after what happened in the space cruiser.
The Master.
Look, I gave me that second chance. I can't keep being excused.
But you didn't deserve this. You don't deserve to die without anyone remembering you.
Then do.
Yeah, I don't want to come back.
She's like, nah, I'm grand, you know.
It was a principle, wasn't it? I've died twice now.
Yeah, like she's already lived her life, you know.
Yeah, and I think it was this whole message about that's why it's precious.
Mm-hmm.
And then because she's been erased from existence, that's what I think hurt the Doctor a lot more. Obviously he lost her, but also no one at that point, not even Roxy at that point, actually knew who she was anymore. Like, it was like,
yeah, she was just like forgotten.
Well, yeah, for the entire universe. So for a brief time, the Crimson Hunter did not exist at all. So, like, Devlin never met her.
Oh my God, he must be heartbroken.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of even the worst thing, is that no one would have been, because nobody would ever have known. So he just rewrites reality so that even if she can't live on, her memory can.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he goes and meets Matt, because Roxy doesn't want to see him still, and just asks, because I think by this point Matt's also died as well. So
oh my God, everybody's just dying left, right, and center.
Yeah, he goes back to see Matt.
Matthew.
Oh, Doctor. Hello. What brings you here?
Well, it's 2020, a year after yourself and Roxy left. I thought I'd best check up on you.
Sure. Where's Julia?
You still remember her?
Hey, watch it. Yeah. I couldn't forget you both.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you so much.
What for?
For being there. Being supportive of Roxy, as well as everyone.
That's alright, mate. Hey, did you want to come round? I'm sure Rox won't mind.
No, it's fine. I'm sure Roxy is still annoyed with me. I don't want to add to the problem further.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've got to head back. We're having a family party or something. I'll see you soon, yeah?
Of course. You still got my number, right?
Always. Of course. See you around, mate.
Goodbye, Matt. And Julia will be remembered.
And just, asks about Julia, and he knows who she is. So as a result, he can sort of attempt to move on and give himself that closure. And then subsequently, we made Crimson Hunter.
Crimson Hunter, yay! Like
the amount of people who have, because we've got a Discord server for DW 2012. So people talk, people sort of, when the audios get released, they'll message on there, because they can message me directly through that.
All right.
The amount of people who told me that they burst into tears on that episode when Julia left.
Really?
Yeah. That's why I think
you've never told me this.
We're not.
No.
That's why everyone was so happy when Crimson Hunter came out.
You never told me you had a Discord. My God, the things you're keeping from me.
No, like Dan's on it. He's like, there was an episode that his final episode, not as the Doctor, but his final episode of his story came out, and everyone burst into tears over that.
Oh.
Yeah, everyone was very sad to see Julia go, because there was, I think it's a good testament to the characterization that you'd put in for her.
Oh, you made me well emotional.
and then that's why, because I was unsure about whether or not we were going to do Crimson Hunter or not.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, do we, like, I don't want to ruin what we've already got with her by adding something pointless to it. And then that's when obviously Volume 1's out now, so we can talk about that, I think. We added a load of more elements, which of course I still didn't really, because I didn't actually properly, I think I only wrote one out of all of the Crimson Hunter episodes. I've only ever written one.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, 'cause obviously, I've already mentioned we're doing a volume 2. I've script edited all of them, but all like Dan's written episode 2 of each volume. Thomas Aidan James, who played Father Shaw, the series 2 villain of Resurrection, he wrote both first episodes of both volumes.
Did he?
Yeah, and then
Cheeky.
yeah, then I wrote the final. I wrote the final episode of volume 1, and then a guy I've started talking to recently from, I believe he's from Australia, called Eamon Longman, who's written quite a few scripts recently for me. He wrote the final episode of volume 2, and I just script edited them all to try and, like, obviously because everyone's got their ideas, trying to sort of streamline them and make sure everything flows. But other than that, I've like because when I didn't really know what I wanted it to be still, so when everybody else wrote what their ideas were, I was able to kind of merge them all, which is why I had this decision of what to do, for example, with the character of Marcus, and to have a sort of like Julia, to have an on and off relationship with him, but nothing that she considered to be serious, which I thought, especially because this is technically the earliest we've seen Julia.
Yeah.
Like, it's even earlier than your one-liner that you did 4 or 5 years ago.
My amazing one-liner.
Yeah. Who are you? That was it.
Who are you? It's crazy, like, how many people have, like, dedicated to, like, the audios and to Crimson Hunter. Like, it's crazy. And I'm just so happy that, like whenever it was announced that Julia was coming back and everything, how much of a positive response and how much positivity in the responses that we get on, like, when we put it on YouTube and the comments and everything, and like messages and private messages and everything, and people sharing their story on Instagram. It's crazy, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so glad that people like them.
Yeah.
And like Julia, because I love Julia.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't think of better words for that to reply other than yes. I agree. Yeah,
I agree.
Yes, I know that obviously there were some audio books that are coming out. I think when this podcast comes out, it'll be next month. There's some audio books coming out which are set with the series 2 crew, and there's one story with Julia in, but it's during series 2, and it's got Henry and Roxy, and it's one of those times where we've written it where Julia's a bit anxious about the whole Crimson Hunter business, because I thought it'd be really interesting, like, because when the episode revealing the Crimson Hunter comes out, Henry's already left and Roxy's not actually in the episode. So as a result, it's a very closed set, and you can kind of imagine that Julia opened up to Roxy at some point, but I thought it would be a really good idea to do a story where the companions are there, the doctor's there, this is before the secret gets revealed, and it's all from Julia's mind, of her being aware that she's, like, like internal thinking, like, this is what she's hiding. And that's coming out next, I think it's coming out on the 3rd of July. It was weird as well, because we were able to there was some after you got announced as after it all got revealed that you were playing that you were the Crimson Hunter, that Julia was in fact that person. As a result, Julia's character never really wore denim again. She only wore like black leather afterwards, and as a result, I was actually able to use some of those old photos again, because Dan would meet up with you, wouldn't he? And he'd take some promotional photos.
Yes.
I say promotional photos, more photos for the cover arts. There was so many different variants, weren't there? Series 2 was special because we knew what each episode was going to be then, whereas now it's just a more of a general overview. But we got there was one of you there was the black leather jacket. There's one of you in double denim. There's one of you in a dress for the Greatest Party in the Universe episode.
Those are from years ago.
2018, yeah. And then
yeah.
And then Dan met up with you again to take the Crimson Hunter Volume 1.
Yes.
You wanted, and then you were holding the microphone for a camera, and then and then Dan would Photoshop out that and replace it with a gun. Or there was that promo shot he made where you just held your fist up, and he put a knife in your hand.
Oh yeah.
And then the shadow of the knife is going over your face as well.
Oh, I love them photos so much.
Dan's just a wizard.
Oh, he is. I love that photo so much.
And I don't know how
it's just like, oh, she's badass.
Yeah, but like also trying to find those photos and have them be as high quality as they are, and also realistic.
Oh, I know.
I don't know.
I know. I was just like, I remember taking those photos, and I literally look like, especially when you're in Derry, you're holding up this microphone like a gun. It's, and people are walking by. It's very Dodge.
Yeah.
It's like bam, bam.
And then Dan proceeds to Photoshop a full gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, there were so many. Like, Dan has so many ideas, and like the creativity he has in Photoshop, I just could never. I could never.
Yeah, Dan's got the eye for it, certainly.
Oh, he does.
I think what was also helpful with it was that he was he was the one who was going to be making them, like in the cover art. So as a result, he knew exactly what he needed.
No, he knows what he wants.
Yeah, so he was able to get that all together, which was good. So is there anything else?
I do love Julia.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we end this segment?
Well, I'll just say a wee thank you to anybody who's listening. Literally, like, doing these audios and being a part of like the Doctor Who community. Literally, like the positive messages that I get, the overall like positivity about Julia and like the work that I do, even though it was like my first, audio job. I just want to say thank you for everybody for their support and their love and everything. And I just hope I could be in more stuff if Connor lets me.
Well, yeah. Thank you very much, Chelsea.
Oh, it's no problem, Connor. Thank you. Thank you for the nice ramble.
And welcome back to the podcast. Now, that was a much longer chat than I thought it was going to be with Chelsea.
Very interesting chat, though.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking for nearly an hour and a half. So when people come back to this, it will have been an hour and a half.
Yeah, must have been a very interesting chat to talk for that long.
The amount of times I was trying to finish the segment knowing that it would be too long, and then we just get lost in conversation again for another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
the problem when you're cast or your friends as well.
Yeah, just keep chatting forever and ever and ever. We were really trying to stop chin wagging, but it wasn't working. But anyway, should we read the comments because there were some comments from Crimson Hunter, but also in the aftermath of the completion of Uncharted Past as an overall story last month. There've been how many? Is it just the one comment, or is it a couple of comments?
Only one comment. So yeah, for the prequel for Fractured Timeline at Death's Door, Jivan John, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Who's here after the ending of Volume 4, which of course this prequel comes near enough directly afterwards. So it's now in hindsight that people are going to this and like, oh yeah. It's just the story is now sort of been told around the setting of this prequel, and now there's context to it.
Is that what he's written?
No. He has only said who's here after the Volume 4, after the ending of Volume 4. That's all he said.
Right, because you said it all like it was one big sentence. I was like, what? How much is it?
I'm just elaborating, saying, yeah, now there's been the whole context of the prequel has now been told.
Yeah, that's true.
In 4 volumes.
Yeah, quite a few of them across almost 2 years.
2 years, yeah, basically. And if we jump on to episode 1 of Crimson Hunter with you, sir.
Okay. I have a comment here from Michael Cox. Let me start with the visuals. I love the cover art. The soundtrack is great. Chelsea and Jericho really deliver on the relationship between Julia and Marcus, instantly bringing it alive in all of its facets. As for me, well, I'm delighted and honoured to be a part of the expanded universe. The EDS executive is very different in voice, morals, and temperament to the First Doctor, and he was a joy to play. Now, obviously, for those who may not know, Michael Cox has played the First Doctor a few times in some of my audios, and I've cast him as a completely different character for Crimson Hunter. He's playing, well, as he said there, the EDS executive, the Earth Defense Squad executive. He monitors everything and hires Julia to begin with.
Yeah.
I've also got another comment here from Jeevan and John. This first episode is certainly interesting and an amazing listen, and I love all the characters involved. Michael Cox as the executive is fantastic, and I really love his character. Jericho Keane as Marcus is amazing, and I love the connection between him and Julia. Most of all, Chelsea Lagan as Julia Breslin is flipping fantastic, and I love the freedom her character radiates before she starts traveling with the Doctor. 1,000 out of 1,000.
Woohoo, what a rating.
Indeed, very good. Very good. I'm very happy with that rating. I think Jeevan's also said in the past that Julia was his favourite character anyway.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, he'd definitely be happy with this volume.
Yeah.
Also, it's just... also, I remember, just before we go into episode 2, is that I remember when we originally talked about the rating of Crimson Hunter, you said keep it at sort of Doctor Who levels of family friendly, and then we went through episode 1 together. I was like, this is not really family friendly at all, isn't it? After I kept mine.
It was written to be family friendly, but the more I read it and the more you think about the context, she's the greatest assassin in the universe. Why on earth could it be? It's not even a child friendly thing to be anyway. You're kidding people.
Yeah. So with that, then I had to go back and rewrite my episode to make it as not to make it the same as episode 1, because it goes from Torchwood levels of language and themes to like episode Doctor Who. So I was like, no, I gotta change it. And speaking of
well, it didn't really fit in tone anymore.
No, it didn't. So I had to go back and rewrite it so the tone matched of episode 1 and 3. All right. So going to episode 2 in the comments, Jivan John. Another fantastic episode within the Crimson Hunter series. All the characters were on top form. I'm really looking forward to where the series goes, and I look forward to seeing where the story goes with Devlin and Julia. 2,000 out of 2,000. Really good with these ratings. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's because we were saying that before, like Devlin and Julia like have that amazing dynamic, despite the fact the actors have never talked to each other before this point. Very good. TARDIS glitch. Devlin proper made me laugh in this one, especially the line about his sonic blaster. Julia and Devlin are a great duo. I really hope Devlin returns to the series. Thank you. And now we got Michael Cox. Brilliant man as always. 30 days confinement for potty mouth. Hilarious. I think that was actually something you added later in, because
I think it was.
Yeah, you script edited to be a bit more funnier. Yeah. Daniel's script is a masterclass blending and blending in and out of comedy with dark humor and pathos. The dynamic between Julia and Devlin is great. I'm not sure who has the upper hand in the relationship, because given all of Devlin's sass and outrage comments, Julia still delivers some good put downs. Congratulations to Chelsea and Luke for excellent performances, and also John and Steve for bringing to life the aliens. They both deserve a cough suite after putting their voices through all that. Suffering for the art, true actors. And,
yeah.
Oh, they do. But yeah. Chelsea and Luke were great. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they were.
And speaking of the man himself, the myth, the Devlin, the Staticus, the Luke Lane. Hey, it's Luke Lane. It feels so good to hear Devlin stretch his vocabulary. Finally, so good to have Devlin back. It's always good to have Devlin back, isn't it, sir?
Always.
Always.
There can never be a time without him now.
Indeed. We're just going to try and film into everything now in the future because we just love the character.
Yeah. Right. Episode 3.
Okay.
Got a comment here from Michael Conks. Powerful, fast-paced drama. The Crimson Hunter is truly established. Great work, Connor. And thank you again, Michael. Always appreciate the lovely comments you leave. There is another comment here from Luke Lane himself. I remember recording Devlin doing his weird voice and almost gagging as I was holding my nose for like 5 minutes. Truly one of the gems of being a voice actor. I think there's that, yes, there's a scene in that episode where he's pretending to be some sort of delivery guy.
Yeah.
Go another landing and he holds his nose and goes, hello, yes, we're here to deliver this item.
Yeah.
Crimson Hunter is a fun volume, but also at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, I wasn't expecting it to be as loved as it was because it's so, it's what I would kind of describe as a mixture between Torchwood and Class a little bit in terms of its tone, not in terms of its, obviously not in terms of its content, it doesn't fit either one, but in terms of its tone with it having swearing but not overly sexualized.
Yeah.
Not like how Torchwood Series 1 was, which was another level altogether.
Yeah, and also I don't as well as that it's with it having very little reference towards Doctor because before Julian met the Doctor, so there'll be very little reference towards him at this point.
But either way, it's still even either way that still brings up still brought up some little problems for me. Thinking this character is doing all this stuff that is going to be in terms of the story. She is yet to be in Resurrection, and here she is doing all these things, and it's like I was worried it'd be too much of a tonal shift between the two. You know, if she's having a kind of friends with benefits situation with her teacher, and then also having a potty mouth in itself along with Devlin. The fact that this is set before both of the appearances we've already seen of them, I was worried that it would kind of taint what you've seen after, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but as well as that, I think we need to know that these things do exist within the realm of Doctor Who, like with Torchwood and Class. That it's opened up that these themes do exist.
Yeah, and also I always found with Torchwood what really helped sell Doctor Who as something truthful to me as a kid was because of Torchwood, because Torchwood wasn't trying to make out that the human race is amazing, we're awesome. The 6th episode, there's cannibals.
Yeah,
like it's like that the point being is that they try to safeguard the world from alien threats, but sometimes the threats come from among us.
Indeed, yeah.
And that's what I really enjoyed about the show, and I still continue to. Obviously, with Crimson Hunter, it's more of an intergalactic level. We've got cameos from Jadoon, Sontarans. I think have you got any more from the Doctor Who universe?
I think generally episode 2 is the one that it's brought more towards.
Well, yeah, but have we got any more of them? Was it just the Sontaran and the Jadoon and some random aliens?
Some random aliens, I think. I don't think there's any more. I know there's a.
Either way, it helps to world build either way because you've got them.
Yeah, indeed.
In there, and we know them from the Doctor Who in general. So I think that helps. Yeah. Speaking of Crimson Hunter again, we've also got an episode of the audiobooks coming out later this month, which has Julia Breslin in. It's set during Series 2. The whole volume is set during Series 2. And it's a Series 2 story, but with Crimson Hunter elements in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is something that I was always quite fascinated to do, because it's all of them are being said from the companions' internal monologue. And so when it came to that, I thought, well, what's Julia's inner monologue going to be? And it's going to be that she's hiding something. Like, she can't just be perfect, and then one day they just discover she's not. You got to think that she's probably aware of things, that she's not completely clueless.
Yeah, she probably has a bit of anxieties about the truth coming out.
When they visit certain places, she certainly would, because she's especially in her own time, she's known as the Crimson Hunter, which is exactly what happens in the episode where we discover who she is in Series 2 of Resurrection. But also, as well as that, after quite a few years now, I think might be something like, apart from that one-off cameo last year, nearly 2 to 3 years since his last appearance. But Lewis Wheelhouse is reprising his role as Henry Woodman for the audiobooks. And a lot of people have a lot of love for Henry Woodman. He's kind of like, someone described him as the Nardole of DW 2012, because he's kind of got that, he's got that lovable element to him. But he's also got quite a fierceness to him in the same respect. And as we all know from me bringing it up earlier, or should I say you mentioning it earlier in the coming up, I've had a little chat with him about just generally how we met, what it was like returning to the role, and how it was being in the role. Shall we have a listen to that?
Yeah, yes, we shall.
Overton Audios presents Doctor Who Resurrection, Remembrance 1.
Henry and the Doctor's relationship had been on the rocks recently. It was still one of my first trips with all of them. And Henry and Julia had a pact of sorts. They did not want to talk about what happened. The Doctor opened the cage, releasing the rat. Tapwell grabbed his arm, but the Doctor pushed her away. She nearly fell over. I flinched to try and save her. Whatever the Doctor had done to Henry and Julia, maybe directly or indirectly, must have been very serious.
Hello? She calls out. Is anybody there? Her calls disturb something in the darkness. Whatever it is, it struggles through the dark and dingy alleyway. She cried out at the creature. Whatever it was, her screams died as the TARDIS landed in the alleyway a short distance away. Vince commit. I can't say it's a pleasure. Vince Merton agreed, but he said that he and the Doctor had very similar interests. The Doctor remained silent. Well? I asked a bit more forcefully. What do you want, Henry? The Doctor snapped. A detailed explanation of why I don't trust Vaston? Why we're standing in his home?
The Doctor assured them that they didn't need to worry, as this was Julia's time, the 44th century. Nonetheless, Julia felt uneasy. People could recognise her if she wasn't careful. All in one moment, the person that Julia was trying to hide came out. The Crimson Hunter returned to the forefront of her mind, the assassin that she had tried to leave behind. The Doctor was unconscious. Their only line of defence was down, and then she threw the knife. Doctor Who Resurrection, Remembrance 1. Coming the 26th of June, 2021 at 12 p.m.
And welcome back, everyone. I am here with Lewis Wheelhouse.
I've actually changed my name to Henry Woodman now. I'm keeping in with my character.
Yes.
I'm joking. It's Lewis Wheelhouse. Hello.
How have you been, Lewis? Been good?
Yeah, just leave it at that.
I think we're
just leave it at that.
Wow.
What a great start.
Yeah.
First podcast. Brilliant.
Yeah, so all right, moving on from that, I've been all right, and yeah, like you're saying, this is the first time you've been on the podcast, but you're also one of the people who've been a part of Overton Audios for the longest. I think it is the longest. Yeah,
A long time, yeah.
I'm trying to think. When we started, your first Henry Woodman audio, or at least when you appeared as Henry Woodman, was actually nearly 5 years ago.
Swear the year 2016 rings a bell.
Yeah. It was
around that time.
It was when we were doing the audios every now and again, like every few months or so, back when we were first starting.
And then series 2 all of a sudden just went back to back, didn't it?
Yeah, and then from then on, it's just created a whirlwind of releases all in advance.
And spin-offs, etc., etc.
Yeah. And then you played Henry Woodman in Resurrection, Doctor Who Resurrection, from Series 1, Episode 1 in 2016 until Series 2, Episode 11 in 2018. So that was a good, well, I say it was a full 2 years. It was realistically an episode every 3 or 4 months, and then all of a sudden 12 stories back to back.
Brilliant. I can just imagine us talking at the age of 75 saying, I've been playing this character now for over 55 years.
Yeah. And then what was it? You look, Henry Woodman made a return in General Marsh, Volume 1, but it wasn't really him. It was like a fabrication to make one of the characters.
I swear we had a different character. We had Henry, and didn't we have somebody called, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Harry?
Yes, that was in Parallelity.
That was Series 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was because the reason why we had Harry and Henry was because Henry's character is actually from a parallel universe.
Yeah,
it was when we introduced the Parallel Doctor, who was technically the parallel version of the Cravat Doctor. He came from the same universe.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That episode was 2018, because 2017 we only because Series 1 episode came out in the first ever episode came out in 2016, followed by episode 2 came out in the summer of 2017, along with episode 3, and then 4 in the later part of the year, and then episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8 followed in the first half of the year. Just to the plan was initially to have 13 episodes whenever I wanted, but then afterwards I just got a bit what you might just say bored, and just pushed forward with it. But also around that same time, we also had you as Carl in Supers, if you remember that.
Yes.
God, that was
that was a while ago. Yeah.
Like thinking about Henry Woodman, I think because of the recent release that we did for the audiobook, it sort of feels a bit more recent because you've had to pop back into that era.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've done the series. Like, I swear I've popped in an odd specials and stuff like that. Like I've done a few for like General Marsh, just a few little cameo scenes.
You've done General Marsh.
Yeah.
And you've also done you did a cameo role in Resurrection again as Henry, but there was a thing to do with timeline where we went back to Henry in Series 1.
Out of curiosity, I mean, I don't want to be like making this all about me, it's my show. How many episodes do you think Henry's done in total?
Episodes, well, you weren't in episode 2 of Series 1, so that's 7 episodes of Series 1, and then 8 episodes in Series 2, so it takes us to 15, and then you get 1 extra episode in Series 4, 16. I think that's it, So I think it's 16 overall in Resurrection, and with General Marsh, you were in that 2-parter. Yes, I think in total 18.
We could just round this up and just say a lot, but
Yeah,
it's
we could
technically
do.
18.
We could do.
Brilliant. Absolutely, mate. 18 episodes. How long has it been? So in the last 5 years, I've done 18 episodes. Mental.
Yeah. That's as Henry Woodman, but then of course you did some episodes as playing a different character altogether.
Did I?
Other things as well.
The Henry Woodman one, or did I play something else?
No. I'm talking about Supers one, where you were in that.
All right,
you have been in other audios of mine, which would take us to over 20.
I swear I'm getting memory loss because I'm forgetting half of these roles.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, but how did we? I just want to talk about how we actually first started talking. My earliest memory I've got of us talking was when I was staying over at a friend of mine in Tring in Hertfordshire, and we were watching The Detective when series 2.
I never forget this because you sent me a message on Instagram or somewhere. You sent me a message and it was your TV screen. And I was like, bloody hell, I'm on somebody else's telly.
yeah, we were watching. I think it was back early enough to a point where I don't think all of series 2 had come out yet. I think it was still the first half of that, and we were watching it. We'd watched series 1, and then the specials that followed it. We'd watched everything, and then I realised I hadn't told you we were doing it.
Yeah.
So I just turned around and told you. But yeah, that was my earliest memory of us interacting. Was 2014,
which is good 8 years now.
Yeah.
7, 8 years. Mental.
You did a voice role in a voice role for me in Time Traveller Retribution at one point as a doctor.
Did I? Oh God, yeah, I did, didn't I? Of course I bloody did. Yeah, it was like a short little cameo bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then
is this for the visual series?
Yeah, this was for the visual series when it came out in 2017 in the end, but that was in the summer of 2016, and then following after that is when I cast you as Henry Woodman.
Just anything I've done with audio, I just automatically assume that it's for audio purpose, but that was just a voice in the visual series, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. It was, so we've only really been talking more frequently as a result of Henry Woodman.
Henry Woodman has brought our community together, if you will.
Yes. So yeah, the audiobook, that was enjoyable to get written, because for me, from a production point of view, I write scripts. I don't usually write things as a narrative piece. Yeah. And it was nice to I was on trains going to work and everything during the first lockdown whilst I was trying to put together these ideas.
I guess it were nice for you to write like on a third person perspective, really, because you always write it from the doctor's point of view, don't you? Or Henry's.
Yeah, you either write, I think in this case, all the audiobook episodes were supposed to be written from the companion's perspective. So the first episode, you've got Brianna playing Roxy, and she's talking in the first person, and vice versa with yourself. Yeah. You're talking about Henry in the first person as you're basically portraying him telling a story.
Yeah.
It's all like that. I think for the final episode, Chelsea wasn't available to be Julia Breslin, so I had to record it. But because it wasn't a story about me, it was about the Doctor. It was a story about the companions, and the Doctor's also there. That all had to be third person.
Yeah.
So I had to make those little tweaks and everything and move along. But yeah, the audiobooks were interesting because that was announced after the 5th podcast we did, and it was during the time when I was sort of struggling to work out how I'm going to make all these things work. And it seems like, again, depending on how the whole copyright thing happens, my schedule may free up significantly. But like this got like a double. It's like a catch-22. You have time for yourself, but you can't make what you love anymore.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but how did you find the recording process of the audiobook? Because you did, was it this one or the one you did for the second set that you did really quickly?
Are we on about Vampire Mind or?
Yes, Vampire Mind is one from set 1, but there was a second one that you did where you recorded that. I think you'd gone from, rather than printing them out on paper, you went to read them off like an iPad page.
I went digital, yes.
Yeah.
Eco-friendly, as I say.
You made it. You made it to the 21st century.
Yes, I did. Eventually, I got there. Well, saying that, can you remember I did Sherlock last year for Nathan? I went back to that.
Yeah.
For some reason, don't ask me why, but I just went to notepad and pen, and I just written down my own script on a piece of paper. So I'm getting old. I'm getting old, Janice.
Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's any harm in it. Like a lot of people, like I wear a watch, but I know that there's still so many people just check their phone, and it's not all wear a digital watch. But I like proper analog watches.
Yeah.
There's just something about it. There's something about. I don't want to sound like an old man here, but there's something about being able to read the time.
Like physically in front of your face.
Well, yeah, but just analog wise, because otherwise you just have a screen going, it is 2006.
I've always preferred like analog time. How the hell have we gotten to talking about time?
Doctor Who.
Mental. Well, there you go. Time and space. It all connects in this world.
Yeah. But yeah, like I've always enjoyed analog watches. I think that's just something about being able to read. I don't know why. Like when I was a kid and being taught how to read watches, I don't know why. I found it fascinating. Then thinking back now, when people can just look and their phones just give them numbers, whereas here you have to look at each hand and work it out for yourself. I don't know why. I just feel less lazy. If you get my meaning.
Yeah. I mean, because we work on like, I suppose you've still got your iPad, your iMac, haven't you?
I've got I'm on it now, yeah, and then I've got a laptop and my mobile anyway.
Yeah.
So
and automatically on them you're just used to 14:07 instead of 7 minutes.
Yeah, rather than the large hand being at the 7 and then the little hand being at the 2. And then
I think I find that really confusing nowadays because I'm just used to 14, whatever.
I've seen people who have a mixture of both analog and digital, where it has the digital time. And then underneath it,
wow, how do I do that?
And underneath it is actually analog.
Correct. I mean, I've got one of those smartwatches. You can like download like apps to it where you change it and you can add stuff like that. But wouldn't that be confusing? Like looking between the two.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, what's the point in having the analog if you're just going to have the digital time underneath? Everyone's just going to look at the digital time.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the point? Doesn't do anything.
At all.
Anyway, further like the question I didn't let you answer. How did you find recording the audiobook? Was it nice to return back to that era of Henry Woodman?
Well, obviously it's a delight returning back as Henry Woodman, of course. It's a great character to come back to. But audiobooks, essentially, it's such a different approach in it to the series, because you as we've talked about, it's a third person perspective. And well, you do sort of talk from the narrator's point of view, don't you? Saying the doctor's, coming down the corridor, whatever. And I found that interesting. It is really interesting. Then you've got to I think it's both actually. I play the doctor as well. So I've got to sort of interpretate your voice with that. I mean, obviously I don't because I got a northern accent. That would never work. But yeah, it was interesting, definitely.
Yeah, like I
prefer it to a degree.
Yeah, there were obviously little mannerisms that you did for the Doctor, but obviously what you're trying to I suppose what's also kind of a little bit difficult is you're trying to do an impression of the person who plays the Doctor whilst playing a character doing an impression of the Doctor.
Yeah.
You're trying to be Henry Woodman doing an impression of the Doctor who's played by somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. I just looked at it from my own point of view and just thought, right, how would I play this? Like, obviously I know how your Doctor goes because I've been in your series since 2016. So I know how it goes, but I just had to approach it, right, this is the script. How would I go about saying these lines in which hopefully it's come out all right? I mean, I don't know because I recorded it September, something like that.
Is it really September
last year? Yeah, I think so. And I have not seen a thing of it. That's how Connor works, you see. As soon as you send it off, it's all in the dark. And then he'll send me...
Have I not even shown you the cover arts?
No, you haven't sent me anything. You'll send me something through in July when it comes out a year later, and I'm like, was I even in this?
Yeah, I think that's happened before. Yeah, with Series 4, when you had a cameo for 2 scenes. It was that, I think I mentioned it earlier. It was the episode where we went back in time to that era.
Yeah.
And I sent that to you.
I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Crazy. Honestly, I think I'm getting old. Really, it could either be that or
you did actually. You recorded this in October last year, and it was finished. Oh God, that's right. Yeah, that was written in It was written in September, and then you recorded it shortly after.
I may be cheating here, but I've got notes. I have made notes. Dr. Woodman was the 25th of October. And Vampire Mind was 8th of September, so 6-7 months ago. In which has been the shortest time, to be honest, because I've had to wait over a year sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone through a lot of haircuts sometimes.
I'm just trying to sort of hopefully try and phase through into, because the problem is now that in terms of my day-to-day job, I'm getting busier there, so I start working things earlier. Yeah, I still end up sometimes finishing them a bit. They're still finished early, but
don't get me wrong, no wrong with it. I see stuff that you do, and I think, how the hell does he do that? Because you're on to 2022 now, aren't you? Well, like effort stuff.
I've just started on it, yeah. In the last month or so, I've finally finished the final release of 2021, and now I have to work on the other stuff.
I wish I could work like that. It's like now I've just finished filming on a video that's coming out on Sunday, and it'll be editing tomorrow, and it'll be the last couple of hours before it comes out. But you're editing and done within how long would you say?
Well, in terms of how long the process takes, or how long before its release?
Like once you've like edited it, rendered it, uploaded, and it's just waiting on a shelf.
It can usually just be waiting on a shelf for 3 to 9 months these days.
Bloody hell, gathering dust.
Yeah, like right now, the last audio drama we finished of the year is actually due for release in October, but we actually finished a lot of the releases for December and November quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So as a result, we've just kept busy. But again, I got too much I want to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things I might be doing is again, depending on how things go with the current.
But it's worth it though, isn't it? Because you get to plan more ahead and get more done in terms of storyline and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just worried about it becoming a chore one day. Because obviously, I want to be able to. I can still relax. I can still lie back and relax and everything like that. But also simultaneously, it does become.
You start to go into autopilot, don't you?
Yeah, but then you also end up feeling tired. You're like, I don't really want to write today, but if I want to do this, I want to get this done right. I have to. And it's
I'm the exact same with writing. I hate it. I just do not want to do it nowadays. So I fully understand that.
Well, I took a break from making anything in December and January. December last year and January this year. So when I tried to get back into things again, it was so slow, and I've only really just been able to find my groove sort of again. Like over this weekend, because we're recording this on a Friday evening, I've got to try and get 2 more scripts written. One of them is a Doctor Who script, which again, who knows if you'll ever see it, depending on what happens.
You might never see it at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's bothering me the most. It's on my list of things to do, and until I find out what's actually happening, I'm just going to have to keep pushing on.
Yeah. Keep fighting. Keep pushing on, as Winston Churchill once said.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Something like that.
Is there anything else that you wanted to chat about before we end the segment?
No, not really. That's what else is to talk about? I don't bloody know.
I mean, you've enjoyed it?
Well, I've definitely enjoyed it. It's been different because you're playing different characters. Like, which one is it? It's like an alien. I mean, it's Doctor Who, so there's aliens in it.
You're thinking of the second one.
Woodman, Dr. Woodman.
Mm.
Oh God, it's been so long since I forgot what bloody storyline is.
Oh, this is the one with vampires and.
Yeah, well, I'm not that stupid. It says vampire.
Yeah, it's called Vampire Mind.
I swear it's got dolphins in. But yeah, I enjoyed that one because that was different. You know, it's got. I won't go into spoilers and stuff, but it's got. Well, to be honest, I can't go into spoilers because I forgot. Truth be told, but somebody dies in it. And when I say somebody dies in it, I'm not teasing you. I have genuinely forgot. So yeah,
the death in it.
Or have I forgot?
Who knows?
Who knows?
And then, well, thank you very much, Lewis, for
no problem
making time to be on this.
I
shall pass it back over to my future self and Daniel.
Yes. Goodbye.
And we're back. So before we conclude this podcast, I feel like we should discuss another project that me and you worked on, Connor. And that is, of course, Sherlock Holmes, because that's been something that's been, I think, people have been keeping a keen eye on since we announced it.
Oh yeah, it's also got a funny story with this pre-production, doesn't it?
I think it does, but can you remind me?
Oh my god! So 2 years ago, you came to me asking to do it. You were still at uni. I think you were just starting your third year.
Yeah.
And you'd come to me and said, "Look, can we make it?" I've been looking at a lot of public domain, little to no copyright on certain, characters, and I really want to try out Sherlock Holmes. So I said, okay. So I penciled that in for summer 2020, and it was going to be coming out. I think it was going to be coming out just before season 4 of Resurrection started.
Mm.
And then you were in third year, you're in your final year of uni, and then you'd started writing the Scandal episode.
Yeah.
And subsequently you said you still want to write it, but you've just not had the time because of uni. So I said, okay, no worries, we will move it a year ahead to summer 2021, because by that point Resurrection season 4 will be over, and I know there's going to be a break there. So we moved it to there, and then summer last year I remembered about it and brought it up with you again, and then and then it was another case of I still haven't had the time, I won't get around to it. And then it came to early this year where I was like, Daniel, and then you said, and then you just said that you just had no idea where to take it.
Yeah.
Which is why
I had an idea.
Which is why then in November last year we put out that little advertisement for writers.
Yeah, because we wanted more writers in it anyway, so we thought we'd just put the call outs as well, because I came out short of ideas. So we then got someone who then finished Scandal for us, and it turned out very well.
Yeah, I mean, it went really, really well. Me very happy with how Scandal turned out. We had the stories that we've got in Volume 1. We've got, and obviously they've been adapted. We've got a Scandal by Russia. We've got the Red-Headed League. And then we've got the 5 Orange Pips. Those episodes are some of the earliest Sherlock Holmes stories. It's very interesting when I read them, to see how much has changed in terms of language.
Yeah.
Because obviously, when we're doing our ones, it's set in the 20s. So
the 1920s, yeah.
Yeah, so as a result, things are different but similar. They are more similar to the originals than they would be to modern day.
Yeah, but obviously the major difference would be there was a war. There was the.
That's what I mean. That's why I said they're different but similar. They've got similar tones in terms of class systems, but obviously not that many people not many people would call each other by their surname in private. So we added small things where Watson would call Holmes Sherlock, but in a private friendship kind of matter. If there was ever somebody or like a formal setting, it would always be Holmes. And obviously we've adapted the backstory for Watson. Watson now fled Ireland, didn't he, to get away from the troubles. And then
to escape, because at the time the partition was taking place, and that was a pretty dark time in Ireland's history, and obviously coming off World War One, where John was a volunteer.
Well, he can't have, well, he wouldn't have been a volunteer.
Oh no, because he wouldn't have volunteered. Yeah, he would have been put into
he would have
war
been
as well.
drafted in. It was illegal to say no. Only in World War II did you have the option. So he would have tried to escape one conflict and been dragged into another. And
and he went home to see that this was going on, that what's happening there, and he's had enough of the fighting, and he's had enough of the heartbreak. So although
he tried to escape conflict and found himself in it. And we should also make clear that this volume is not an origin story.
No.
It starts off with them having already worked together for at least a year. Because obviously when it starts off in I think it might actually be 1921, so it might be 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out for the next podcast. But so I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. I think honestly that it took a long time to get to this point, but now we're here. We are. I mean, I'm happy saying this. You can tell me not to cut this or not if you want, but we are currently working on a second volume.
Oh yes, we are.
Volume 1, as we've said before, Volume 1 is very much like a pilot volume of kind of testing out different mediums. Like we've got one which is solely like an audio drama. There's obviously we still have Watson narrating every story because it's always from Watson's point of view. But we do also have elements that in one of the episodes that has Holmes doing something by himself that we see. Simultaneously, we have another episode which is almost always you. Narrating.
That was
it's more like an audio book.
For a dyslexic man who's got a stutter, that was a great time.
Yes. And then we've got another episode which is very much a mixture of both.
Yeah. There's a lot of experimenting.
In all fairness, we've definitely made our choice on what we prefer. I still think that in some cases, depending on the story, there are some stories that call for more of a narrative description than an audio drama could portray. But obviously, we'll just have a look at each story as it comes and goes and sees what can be done with it. What should it be? Should it be more like a narrative story being told by each actor, each performer, or should it be more of an audio book with voices supporting? I like the idea though that we have a variant sometimes.
Yeah, me too. I'm more akin to the full cast audio drama, but I do admit as well that the audiobook approach also helps because Sherlock Holmes is there's such layered stories, and it's hard to convey that sometimes with just pure, audio description from a full cast audio drama. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, especially when there's observations being made. Like in some of the stories, Holmes makes observations that he keeps to himself, and then Watson describes it as Holmes scratching his upper lip. Other than Holmes, Watson or Holmes, like it could be Holmes going, "I'm scratching my upper lip," or Watson saying, "Have you found something, Holmes? You're scratching your upper lip." But either way, even if it's an audio drama, that line is so awful. It's too expositional. It draws attention to the fact he scratched his lip. Whereas if, in a narration point of view, Watson would just go, Holmes surveyed the area and scratched his lip thoughtfully. and then later he'll explain, I scratched my lip because I saw this. Like it works better in that context because it initially was coming from a book, and this isn't a visual thing either where you can portray that. It's audio, which is just a much tricky.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I find it as well pretty funny is that we're releasing our first volume in July, and Big Finish have announced that they're bringing Sherlock Holmes back in July as well for them.
After like 3 years. Yeah, I'm hoping it's not the same week. In all fairness, though, it was the Big Finish Sherlock Holmes that really helped inspire me. Like I listened back to back all of those volumes just to kind of get an idea. Then I was watching a lot from Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss's version of Sherlock Holmes, and just trying to gather inspiration from there. And I think, in all fairness, in some cases we were quite successful, and some other cases it needs work, which is why we're doing a second volume.
Yeah, we're always constantly improving. I think of everything, especially when you're starting something brand new. It's to find those to lay down the foundation first, and then constantly build up from that. And it's it's going to improve over time because as the characters improve as well. Because these are our own takes of the characters as well. I mean, John Watson was never Irish before.
Yeah.
And you also bring a certain take as well to your version of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I don't think so. I had someone in the car. I was driving back from work one day, and some work colleagues. So I don't really talk about my audios generally to people. I don't know why. It's just because I'm usually not wanting to think about them when I'm not doing them, if you know what I mean. And they'd heard about me doing it. They went, "Oh, go on, give us your Sherlock Holmes voice," and it was just my voice. My voice, but maybe with a bit more of a posh twang, a bit of a posh twist to it. And they just said, "That just sounds like you." And I'm like, the wonders of voice acting. Yeah, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing how people receive it, and also the people who wrote them, of course, as well. When we put that out, it started off with when we first started this podcast with me saying about how, if you want to write something, tell me, and I'm always going to be happy to assist.
Indeed, yeah, completely. And that's still open now. I mean,
it's always
we have
open.
we have no like I don't believe we discussed the ongoing plan.
To put it into context, to put it into massive context here, after that first podcast, someone called Ethan Ward got in contact with me and had 3 ideas for stories.
And
I said yes to all of them, and that's the entire Remembrance 1.
Yeah, and he's done some more for you lately. He's written some things.
No, that's Eamon Longman you're thinking of.
Oh, sorry.
I think of Eamon Longman, but Eamon Longman's fantastic as well. He's written one for the second set of Doctor Who Remembrance. That's obviously Remembrance 2. He's written one for that. That's the first thing he ever wrote for us, and then subsequently we've gone back through the timeline to now. I think the first one that's going to be released with him having written it might be something in October, I think. He's now written some more things for next year's releases.
Very good. And he's because we've been looking at some of his more recent scripts as well. And he's very good. He's very good at writing. And he told me he just loves to write.
And then with Ethan Ward, he gave me all the synopses, and then we left it a few months after I said feel free to go ahead. But then obviously something's come up. He didn't have the time to write it, so I adapted his stories into this, and he still gets his credit anyway because it's his stories. And as a result, it's like we wouldn't have Remembrance 1 without people, without fan writers, because at the end of the day I want to make sure that it isn't just I don't want Overton Audios to be an exclusive club.
No,
I don't want it to be if someone wants to write, it can only be Dan or John or me. I want it to be something where if someone wants to write an audio but they don't have the time to make it, and I don't want to exploit those feelings, because obviously I feel like if you want to make something, you should always push yourself to make it. But if you don't have the time, you know what I mean? I'm trying to say, if you want it made, but you don't know where to start, I'm always happy to make them.
Yeah.
I'm always happy. I'm not trying to sound like Big Finish here, but I do love stories. And I find that mine bore me sometimes because it's me. I know the genesis of the idea, but like when you've put forward some of your ideas before, Dan, something just clicked in my head that I can come up with ideas from that as well. And then when it comes to you writing it and then me doing a bit of script editing here and there, it ends up being a masterpiece, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
But I've always found that your stories are always so consistently loved, and it's because you don't write as much as I do, and it's also coming from a place of absolute passion.
Yeah, because I don't write as much. That's because I don't know why. It's because
you've got a life
for one thing. Well, also I'm dyslexic, so I can. So writing I find very difficult for me sometimes. But it's just, I like to pursue ideas that I think are worthwhile for me. So I don't know if that's the reason why.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to be passionate about something you're writing.
Yeah, I think we always are. I think everything we do, we're always passionate about.
So basically, the next two releases, that being Remembrance 1 and Sherlock Holmes, are all mostly written by people who got in touch after the first podcast.
Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And also, again, come to us with any ideas you may have, even if it's like something that's unfinished.
If you want to write something, let's say you want to write, because I might be having a break from the Cravat Doctor this year, but the break will be over come next year. So if you have an idea for a Cravat Doctor story, or if you have an idea for, I don't know, any Doctor, we can chat and see if we can make something work. We want to make. I want to make things. I just want to make things.
Yeah. Like
I want to
be
be
Big Finish are doing their competition with for the short trips thing.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do a competition.
Well, it's not a competition. I'm just saying, like, we're always open to ideas, and
I say yes to most things. I'm easy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so moving on from that, shall we go into a brand new segment?
Oh yes, the brand new segment you've brought up to me just before we start recording this podcast.
Yes, it was just an idea.
And that segment is leading to you.
I haven't come up with a name yet. Essentially, I thought I'd look at my Overton Audios YouTube channel analytics and see what most people found popular for the month. Like what's gotten up in views, that we might just mention as an honourable mention here. And if you haven't heard it yet, or haven't heard it in a while, then you have the choice to.
Yeah. So basically, we could just call it audio drama of the month.
Yeah. So yeah, right then, fine. Audio drama, Overton Audio drama of the month. And this month, looking at my analytics, it is Doctor Who Resurrection, Season 3, The Dalek Federation, and that's the third episode of that, called The Master Plan. Here's the trailer for The Dalek Federation.
Overton Audios presents.
We are here as part of a rescue mission.
But what were your friends doing here in the first place?
Fighting on the front line. They were at the Galactic Federation when it fell. When Commander Gregor was wiped from time in front of them by the Dalek time controller. There was a fight. The Dalek Empire won and took over the headquarters.
The Time Lords are not strictly speaking involved. They've tasked me with ending the Dalek Federation. I just moved on, not looking at the consequences. The Daleks still remained in control of the Federation.
This is quite the event for you. So many lives lived. You have not truly understood your role you had to play in this.
Self-destruct system in 15 wells. The Doctor is here.
This is a war, James. Rest is for the dead.
Oh my god.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Casing impaired! Casing impaired!
Distress signal sent. I only hope someone will answer it.
Access to the Doctor's craft has been successful. What do you want?
Destruction.
Doctor Who Resurrection! The Dalek Federation. Coming 11th of September 2019 at 12 p.m.
That takes me back.
Yeah, I remember writing that nearly 3 years ago. I was in Berkshire for work. Because for those of you who don't know me personally, at the time, I was working on a construction job at Broadmoor Mental Hospital. And
well, that's mental.
And as you know, I ended up writing a story set at Broadmoor anyway. But yeah, that was written 3 years ago in November 2018, and then followed up by coming out in September 2019. So we are approaching almost 2 years since its release. But I was chatting to you on the call, before we started recording, trying to figure out why it's become so much popular. Because I was thinking, is it because of the Daleks and the recent Dalek publicity? It's been like that's been around in Doctor Who.
There's been a lot of things with Daleks recently. Mainly, Dalek Universe is the main one from Big Finish, I believe. There's been that Dalek CGI miniseries for
that was months
time of, some time ago. The Daleks are the most popular thing in Doctor Who currently, I believe.
Indeed.
So Daleks always prevail.
Yeah.
And also has Davros. So yeah, Davros and
Daleks, that's true. That's true. We got Benji Clifford as Davros. That's very true.
I love Benji.
Oh yes, he's a great guy.
Clifford in there.
I've only met Benji once, and that was when we were shooting a film with Chris Walker Thompson 6 years ago. It was a really basic short film, all shot in a day. It was a half-an-hour short film, all shot in one big day from basically dawn until the sunset, and that was now officially 7 years ago now, because that was May 2014. He was a really funny guy, and he still is a funny guy today. I just have not seen him. I've only met him that once, and we chat every now and again, but I haven't seen him since. So we should, when things are safer again, we should try and rectify that. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you very much for listening to this month's podcast. It's been a long one. I imagine I'm imagining, unless I've edited this very slyly, we'll be approaching the 3-hour mark.
Oh my dear, that's definitely taking these podcasts up a notch.
Yeah, we need to calm down. I haven't got the time to be doing this.
Yeah, or else we're going to start doing them in parts.
Yeah, splitting them up more. Trying to be 2-parters, like once every 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Which I can't do either. It has to be monthly just because of how much I've got on. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. We shall see you next month when we'll be talking more in depth about Sherlock Holmes. We'll be talking about Dr. Remembrance in a bit more depth, and of course we chatted about this briefly, but we might be you might be talking to Anna.
Yes, we're going to highlight some of Maggie May, about the character and stuff like that, and what's to come.
Yeah, indeed. And so thank you very much for listening, and farewell.
Farewell, all.